Hello everyone, how's it going? Now in this video, I will be talking about hope and how much hope there is. And I'll be doing that by talking about some of my lowest moments in my OCD recovery journey. And when I first came on the journey, when I was really stuck, consumed with chronic guilt, chronic anxiety, chronic shame, low mood, depression, panic, and so on. All the unhealthy negative feelings, I was completely caught up in all of them. I felt like that was just my existence. I felt like I was just living in just a spider's web of all kinds of uncomfortable feelings. That's how it felt. I felt like I was trapped, felt like I was broken, felt like I was lost, felt so isolated. So I totally get how that feels. Now, the reason I'm going to be banging the hope drum loud and clear is because there is so much hope. I wouldn't be here talking to you today if there wasn't any hope. OCD recovery wouldn't be here today if there wasn't any hope. If Rob gave up, if Nick gave up, if Mum gave up, if I gave up, we would not be here. So we have to keep building away at recovery, chipping away, putting in all the tools, putting in all the recovery work to get to that recovery stage, or that robust recovery, if you wish. You don't just wake up and you're recovered, but you get to a place where there's no chronic anxiety, there's no chronic guilt. You can't tell whether you've got OCD or not, and that can be worked towards. But that obviously takes time, patience, persistence. It's going to be a bumpy journey. It's going to be an emotional roller coaster. And just to clarify here, you don't just wake up and you're suddenly recovered. You don't just go, right, today I am recovered. No, because on the journey, though it takes time, there will be moments of progress, there'll be moments of setbacks. But overall, as long as the trajectory is in an upward direction, then we're making progress. So I want to clarify that, because people think that it's just, suffering for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, recovered, happy days. It doesn't work like that, okay? You're usually going to be making progress. You're going to have good days, bad days hopefully becoming more infrequent, and where you're just gradually making progress over time. But that obviously takes time and patience to get to that robust stage of recovery where you can't tell if you've got OCD or not. Okay, so back to banging the hope drum. Now, the reason I bang this hope drum loud and clear is because we all know what it's like to feel so consumed in the suffering and you feel like you're going to be stuck forever. Look at all the OCD suffering that you're going through. A lot of it is that how I feel today indicates how I'm going to feel for the rest of my life. If I'm triggered today, I will never get at that triggered state. If this thing's happened in the past, I will be consumed in guilt for the rest of my life. I'll stay stuck in that cycle for the rest of my life. I will never get better. I will never see any chance of recovery, any progress. I will never feel better again. I'm always going to feel like shit. I'm always going to feel horrendous and so on. Okay, and that's how it feels. So the reason I'm banging that hope drum loud and clear is because it's so important. When we're at our worst, when we're at rock bottom, if you're watching this video now and you feel like you're at complete rock bottom, we get that. We've been there. I understand that. I've been in your shoes, okay? So you've got to cling on to that glimpse of hope, even in adversity, even when it feels like there's no hope at all. Even when it feels like you are a million miles away from getting better, you've got to just try and cling on to that glimmer of hope, the glimmer of light at the end of the tunnel, okay? It's so important. So anyway, let's talk about some of my lowest points. Now, I remember this very vividly. I've spoken about this before. I've certainly written posts in the groups about this, in the WhatsApp groups. If you're interested in getting involved in those, please email phil@ocdrecovery.com. There are 24/7 WhatsApp support groups. You can get involved, ask questions, ask advice, share stories. Humour as well is very important. But anyway, I've spoken about this before, and I remember at a time, I think it was, I don't remember the date, I think it was the 1st of November 2018. And I always remember this because I just got a new job at the time. I just got a 9 to 5 office job, and I was only 18. I only just turned 18 at the start of August. At the end of August. So I'd only been 18 for a couple of months, and I was just finding my feet and getting financially, getting an income, getting some kind of stability, some kind of salary. So I'm getting this job, which I actually stayed in for 5 years, after 5 years or 6 years. And I remember one of what we had to do was we had to drive to this sort of factory, or this warehouse, if you wish, to sort of introduce ourselves to this job and so on. And I remember on that day, I felt so emotionally drained. And let me run through the start or finish on the 1st of November 2018 and what happened. So I was triggered by, I think it was red event, false memory, POCD, harm OCD, anything that could trigger guilt was just there, pumping away in the background. And I was just so consumed by how, I remember just saying at the time, I just feel so shit. I just feel so anxious. None of this matters. Why would I even get up and go to this job? Why do I even have to do all this crap? Why do I have to get up and face discipline and just face struggle? I just wanted everything gone immediately. And because I was suffering, I didn't have any motivation to do any job, to even look at my career, to even earn money. I thought, what's the point? Nothing matters. You know, this is real. I'm the exception. I can't be happy, and so on. So yeah, I remember waking up and my partner drove me down into work, and I worked in the centre of Bristol, and in the UK. And I remember my partner just stopping in this. It was like a parking lot, as you say in the US, just a car park in the UK. And I just got out of the car and I was just in floods of tears. I couldn't stop crying, and she said, "Look, Sam, I'm gonna have to take you home because this is just crazy." But even in that moment, I knew I didn't want to go home. I knew going home would have been sort of OCD winning, if you wish. So I did all I could to get through that day, and I was crying. I was in just head in my hands, just completely crying. I just felt like I couldn't see a way out of the guilt. I was so consumed in the anxiety cycle. Everything that I did felt meaningless. It felt like I just didn't want to be here anymore, and just sort of erratic behaviour, in floods of tears, panicking. And I had a big day ahead at the new job, going to a new factory, driving to a new factory, new warehouse, seeing how the job worked. Now, in that moment, if you asked me, what do you want out of life? I'd have just done anything just to not suffer. I'd have done anything. I'd have paid all the money in the world. It was priceless to me just to not suffer, right? But where I would have went wrong if I went home and said, look, I can't do this, curl up in a ball, cry my eyes out, escape, scroll on my phone, just sort of any escape mechanism, that's what I would have opted for. But I knew at the time that obviously wouldn't have helped, but I had to show some serious grit and determination just to get through that moment, because that taught me so much. And that was a real low moment, because if you asked me in that moment, Sam, do you want to keep going? I probably would have said no. So I never wanted to die, I just wanted the suffering to end, okay? And that's how low we get. That's how rock bottom we get. And most people that I speak to who are feeling that low, they didn't want to die, they just want that suffering to end, okay? Which is very sad and very upsetting when I look back now, because I absolutely love my life now. I'm fully invested, I'm plugged into life now. But when you're suffering with OCD, with severe chronic OCD at that level, everything just feels completely numb and meaningless, and what's the point? And you're in that self-punishing, self-defeating cycle all the times. No matter what you do, no matter what compliment you get, no matter how you try to distract yourself, no matter what you do, maybe somebody rewards you, oh, well done, here's a pay rise. Or maybe somebody says, Sam, do you fancy coming out for a beer tonight? Sam, do you fancy going out for a meal? Do you fancy going to that music concert? It's like, oh, what's the point? Because you're just so caught up in that self-destructive, self-punishing, self-defeating cycle. And there's so much hope you can get out of that. I know how that feels. And the reason you feel that way is because of the irrational beliefs you're holding, because of the rigid black and white demands you're holding, the self-downing. The reason you're in that self-punishing cycle is because you're beating yourself up from minute one. From the minute you wake up in the morning, your eyes are open, beating yourself up. This thing happened in the past and I'm the scumbag. This thing happened in the past and I'm evil. If I've done this thing, if I had this intrusive thought at this unwanted time, then I deserve no good. I deserve to be punished. I can't be happy. I can't enjoy life. I'm just the worst person on this planet. And that's what OCD is going to do. It's going to convince you are the worst person on this planet. And that's not just with relevant false memory, POCD, harm OCD related themes. It's with anything. Anything that OCD is looking to take away that moment right there. Is looking to take it away and from under your feet and go, nope, you've done this thing. Nope, the world isn't real. Nope, you've got cancer. Or you've got a health concern. Nope, oh, that means you're going to have cancer, so you can't enjoy this. Nope, because there's that mental contamination that, well, until I sort this out, or because I'm so anxious, because I feel so shit, I can't do anything. And I know how that feels, and I really remember this moment because it was, and I remember as I walked into work, actually, it's my partner, as I was in the car park, I finally got out of the car park, and I walked into work. And I'm so glad I went to work, because that's what I needed in the long run. I needed to push myself through those moments. But I remember, and I've spoken about this before many, many times, and there's this park bench in Bristol. I remember lying there in tears, just like this, completely let down in floods of tears. I was just calling my partner again, even though she just dropped me off. I called her again and said, look, I can't do this anymore. What has life come to? This is just the worst thing ever. And I remember walking past this park bench today and thinking, wow, like that park bench brings back some very low memories of mine, and very important memories, because it spurred me on to get better, okay? If If ever I'm suffering, not suffering, if ever I have lack of motivation, for example, which I very rarely do in this job because I love this job and I'm very passionate about this job. But if I'm ever feeling, this is going to be difficult, or I've got a busy day ahead, I'm thinking, right, remember that park bench, Sam. Remember what you would have done to be led on that park bench with someone like me who'd been there, been in your shoes, advising you. I'd have done anything for that. So that spurs me on so much and gives me that motivation, that determination to keep going with this mission that we're on, bringing OCD out of the dark, helping as many people as we can, because it's so important. We know what it's like to be at rock bottom, to be in the depths of hell with OCD. In that moment, I've done anything. I didn't even reach out for help in this moment back in 2018. I'd have done anything just for that arm around me. Sam, come on, mate, right? This is why you're stuck. These compulsions that you're doing, this is why you remain stuck. Your beliefs, this is why it's fueling all those emotional discomforts, the anxiety, the panic, the guilt. It's because you're viewing it like this. Try and view it like that, okay? But ultimately, let's try and wear these feelings. Let's try and wear it. Look at all the things you're avoiding. Go towards that, okay? Come on, Sam, let's keep pushing towards that, okay? You led on a park bench screaming your eyes out isn't going to solve anything, okay? This is why you feel like this. So as we gradually start shifting this, read the myth of self-esteem, read How to Stubbornly Refuse. Here's why I'm reading this. So just that introduction, just that hope, just that, look, I've been there, I know how that feels, I know what it's like to suffer, I know how it feels when it feels like life and death and your world's coming to an end and you don't want to be here anymore. We know how that feels. And if I just told myself that back in 2018, I think I would have made much quicker progress. I'd obviously would have, just said, wow, I'm not alone, right? Someone else is going through this. I don't feel totally lost. I don't feel totally alone. I don't feel totally isolated anymore. Someone there has been there from the same background as me, from the same culture as me, the same upbringing as me, if you wish. Someone's been there. Someone's been through it. And that doesn't mean you can only relate to me if you've got the same background as me. Of course not, because we connect with OCD. We know what it's like to suffer. But it's just nice to know that somebody in your shoes has been there as well, right? It doesn't discriminate. OCD doesn't just pick on just certain people. It doesn't just pick on a certain background. It doesn't just pick on a certain variety of people from a certain area of the world. No, it goes after everyone. It goes after anyone, It can go after anybody. It's just a genetic wiring in the brain. So what I'm trying to say here is that I'm trying to enlighten you with hope, that no matter how low you feel, you watching this video, if you feel at rock bottom, and we know how that feels, there is hope. We're going to gradually take the steps to getting better, the steps to recovery, whether that takes a year, whether that takes 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, forever, okay? But ultimately, once you start, just watching this video right now, if somebody showed me, when I was led on that park bench crying my eyes out, if somebody said, Sam, watch this video, and it was me talking with this hope and just saying I've been there, and all the videos we've done on this channel, me, Nick, Rob, Mom and Gemma, and Elliot, and all the other people that do videos on this channel, if we could say, look, just watch this video, just see that you're not alone here, see that there's something going on, OCD is firing in the brain, and then this is how you're viewing it. All the compulsion you're doing is fueling it. You avoiding isn't helping. Your life structure needs work. And I've gone, wow, there's a way forward now. There's a glimpse of hope. There's a glimmer of light at the end of the tunnel. And that would have done me so much. And I think that's so important to cover. And this is why I'm banging the hope drum. You see it in the Facebook group a lot. We bang the hope drum very, very often because you see, I know it's difficult, you see very negative comments in there, because I totally understand why, because you're dealing with a very relentless disorder, but you've got to cling on to that hope, even in the face of utmost suffering, even in severe adversity, even when you're going through life struggles other than OCD, you've got to cling on to that hope, and how things can change in the future. How you feel today doesn't indicate forever. How you can get better if you put in the work and are willing to put in the work, okay? There is so much hope. If I could just go back and speak to 18-year-old me on that park bench crying my eyes out, I could have 10-second conversation, and I think things would have changed for the better quite quickly. If I could go back in 100 years' time and spoke to people that stuck with OCD and had a 5-second conversation with them, I truly believe that we could turn their fortunes or misfortunes around very quickly and just say, look, here's what's going on, here's what you're scared of, here's your compulsions, done. And then gradually they've gone, right, okay, I'm not alone. I can see that I have something here, something in the brain that's misfiring, and I can get better, and I can see what's fueling that. I can see what's causing that suffering and how I'm viewing things and so on. So it's very, very important. Think how lucky you are to be watching this video on a phone or a laptop and to be able to afford that phone and laptop. There'll be many people who are suffering of OCD who can't afford such luxuries. So It's very important to remember that. So although you may be suffering, although you feel like you're the exception, although that you feel like yours is real, although that you feel like yours is different, there is so much hope and you can get better. We cannot bang that hope drum loud and clear enough. Okay, keep pushing through, one step at a time. Focus on life structure, focus on achieving life goals, get absorbed in a hobby as well as recovery. Okay, don't just dwell on how you feel. Don't just focus on how shit you feel, how horrendous you feel, how tough things are. Focus on how much hope there is and how much better you can get if you put in the work. Okay, you can really get there. So much hope, guys. Keep on going. If you're interested in one-to-one services, please email phil@ocdrecovery.com. That's phil@ocdrecovery.com. You can get in touch with me. I'm Sam. You've got Rob, Nick, Momin, Gemma here, all doing coaching calls, and we can fit you in as soon as possible. There is so much hope, guys. Thumbs up from me.